As the walls close in and we are finally in on week 4 of the college football season. Now, we have some good games this week. We have some bad games this week. Now, some people are going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't the most exciting week for college football. And I would look them dead in the eyes and say, hey, you're wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. Look at this week. We have Kansas and West Virginia. West Virginia is currently a 2.5-point favorite. We have Georgia Tech at Louisville, who is currently a 10.5-point favorite, which I think Georgia Tech has a really good chance to cover in that game. We have Rutgers. Yes, Rutgers at Rutgers at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a 3.5-point favorite. Guys, this is college football, and this is week in and week out. Amazing games. Okay, we have some really nice matchups, and I'm really excited for it. Welcome to the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Chick-fil-A in Pell City. You can go down to the Chick-fil-A and get some pretty high-quality food, guys. Hope everybody is doing well on this fine afternoon. It is Thursday night around 6:01 p.m., and we have a lot to talk about today. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and one of our topics today is beginning with the name of Florida State. Florida State is 0-3, one of only 3 programs all time to start the season 0-3, and also start out the season in the top 10. So, I think this is interesting, and Florida State has got to show me something over the next few weeks that really changes my mind about the direction of this program, because it's not going in the correct direction. It's not. California's coming in, and they are coming off a hot win a few weeks ago. I mean, I'm not going to say Auburn was the greatest team in the world, but you beat a pretty feisty Auburn team in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Not many teams of lower caliber like California would do that, especially in Jordan-Hare Stadium. You look at what happened last year. California, they took Auburn down to the wire in Berkeley. And this year was a lot different. They took them down to the wire, and they actually beat them. So I thought it was interesting how that game went. Quarterback Fernando Mendoza, I think he's going to be phenomenal this year. Now, I don't think Jaden Ott is going to be playing in this game. I'm pretty sure it is still undecided if he's going to be playing, the running back from Cal, that is. And but at linebacker position, I think that Cal is going to be their set. Buchanan is a really good linebacker, and I really think that they're going to give Florida State all they want this weekend, and I think they beat the Florida State Seminoles in Seminole country this weekend, and that's just how I think that's going to go. We have a lot more games to discuss. Are we going to discuss every game in the FBS today? No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to break down every Power 5 game. The game we're going to break down here in just a second is one of the better games of this weekend, and it is going to be played in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Stillwater, Oklahoma, a town where not much goes on, as a little lady that I know would say. I think that this is going to be one of the better games of the week. I don't necessarily think that it is going to be as much of an offensive explosion as some people may think. Oklahoma State's a 2.5-point favorite in this game. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought that Utah would have been a favorite in this game, but it is what it is. Boone Pickens Stadium is going to be rocking on Saturday. I think that this is going to be a phenomenal game. I cannot wait to see Alan Bowman and those guys. They take the field against Cam Rising and company. Yes, Cam Rising has not been necessarily cleared or anything like that, but the coaches did say that he would be able to go this weekend. So he has been cleared. He's ready to go, and he will be playing this weekend, and we will have a healthy Cam Rising. Well, I say healthy. How healthy will Cam Rising be? That's the question. I really think this is going to be a really nice game. If Cam Rising is going to be at his 100%, if he is at 100%, this might go down to the wire. I think Cam Rising has a lot left in his game. And when I mean a lot left in his game, I mean 8 games, 7 games left, however many's left in the season. Because after this year, I'm not sure he's necessarily that caliber of an NFL quarterback. I just don't see it happening. But regardless, I mean, he's a good quarterback. If he goes out there this year and makes it happen, I think he will. He's a good quarterback, and he can make things happen. He can also use his legs. He can throw the ball. He can spin it. It's not like he's bad. The problem is he's a little bit older than some of these guys, and this is a problem on Oklahoma State's end. Cam Rising has a lot of experience. Well, you may say, hey, didn't you say at the beginning of the year that Oklahoma State has one of the most experienced defenses in the country? Yes, they do. They're returning double-digit guys. I mean, this is not a Oklahoma State defense that is bad by any means. Well, I say bad. They aren't great. This is not an Oklahoma State defense that is not well seasoned. Okay, these guys aren't green. They know what they're doing. They've been playing this game for a long time, and they've been playing together for a while. One of the main guys on that defense that I like to talk about is Nick Martin, because I think he's one of the better linebackers in the Big 12. He just is. Now, how much of an impact is he going to have against his offensive line, against his passing game from Utah? Utah's not very explosive. They just run it down your throat. They are able to make plays. They're able to move the ball down the field. It's not necessarily at a high pace. It's slowly but surely. It's slow but sure football. It's not anything special. It's not anything that's going to grab your attention and say, hey, you know what? They're moving the ball really quick. They're putting up a lot of points very, very fast. This is not an Alabama offense. This is not a Georgia offense or an Ohio State offense. They're a little bit slower paced. They're still really good. And I think this weekend is going to tell us a lot about both of these teams. This game has potential to be one of the better games in the Big 12 this year, and this has huge potential for the Big 12 championship game this year. Who's that number one seed going to be in the Big 12? Well, I think that Oklahoma State's in the running. I also think that Utah and Kansas State are in the running. So we will see how that goes. But as for now, I think that it could possibly be this Oklahoma State team. I think Oklahoma State has a lot to learn on defense, but I don't think that Utah is going to go into Boone Pickens Stadium on Saturday and beat Oklahoma State. I just don't see it happening. I think Alan Bowman is a little bit too seasoned for this defense. Now, we talk about Oklahoma State's offense, and everybody talks about Ollie Gordon. Oh, Ollie Gordon this, Ollie Gordon that. Well, guess what? Ollie Gordon has not done very much this year. Okay, he's not been able to run the ball effectively week in and week out. He hasn't. I mean, I get this is week 4, but that's not something he's been able to do. So that I'm worried about. He didn't run the ball well against Arkansas, and Arkansas is not one of the better defenses in the country. This is where I'm concerned, although I think Oklahoma State will win this weekend, and I'll explain why in a minute. Ollie Gordon has not been able to be effective this year. And you can blame it on the offensive line all you want to. That offensive line has been together for years. Okay? They are a seasoned veteran. They are seasoned veterans. They know what they're doing. And for them to not be able to put up with an Arkansas defensive line was preposterous. I didn't see it happening at all, but you know what? It did happen, and that's just how it goes sometimes. That's college football. But as in our reality, I really do think that Oklahoma State is going to beat Utah this weekend. And why is that so? Well, let me just tell you. Alan Bowman has played phenomenal this year. There's been times where he's shown some accuracy issues, but and when I mean at times, I would mention the Arkansas game once again. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done. Alan Bowman's thrown for over 800 yards this year. He has not, I believe it's 8 touchdowns as well, or maybe it's 700 yards, but he's got 8 touchdowns on the year. The guy's phenomenal this year. And I think that if he can just settle down and set his feet better and be more calm in the pocket, I really think he's going to lead this Oklahoma State Cowboys team to a win in Stillwater on Saturday. And that's just how that's going to go. So as for me, I have the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, some other people may have the Utah Utes. I do not. I have the Oklahoma State Cowboys taking this game, and Oklahoma State and Kansas State will be the top 2 teams in the Big 12 going into Week 5. Now, we talked a lot about the Big 12 just then, and this is not a Big 12-centric show. What happened to the SEC, huh? What happened to the SEC? What happened to talk about mainly Auburn and Alabama? Well, guess what? Things change. Sometimes you have to branch out, and that's what I wanted to do. That is one of the better games this weekend, and I had to touch on it because I felt like that it has more implications for the playoff this weekend. It does. I mean, it just does. Now, I get it's week 4, but can we start talking about college football playoff implications? Of course we can, because why not? Anyways, we have Tennessee and Oklahoma this weekend as well. I think that one's going to be really nice. We also have Georgia and Alabama coming up in a few weeks. That one's going to be a fun matchup. You have USC and Michigan, which is happening this weekend. USC is a favorite in Michigan. I think that one's going to be a fun game there. We had Arch Manning this past weekend. He got in and played some quality snaps. So I thought that was really interesting from Texas. You had Quinn Ewers go down, and obviously that stinks for them. But Now you've got Arch Manning stepping up and him taking over the quarterback one role for now. I'm not saying he's going to be there for the whole season. Chill out. But what I am saying is that he's getting these meaningful snaps. He's getting experience, and this is going to lead to him being a good quarterback next year. It just is, and that's how that's going to go. So I think that's interesting. Like I said, I mentioned Louisville at Georgia Tech are going to play this weekend as well. And then Illinois and Nebraska is another team. We're going to talk about them a little bit later on, not right now. But as for now, I need to tell you a little bit about Chick-fil-A and their catering. So Chick-fil-A and their catering, they come a long way back, and they're ready to serve you this football season. If you're looking for an easy way to feed your friends, family this football season, well, check out the Chick-fil-A in Pell City and let them cater your next gathering. Choose from a variety of trays, including Chick-fil-A nuggets, mac and cheese, chocolate chunk cookies, and chocolate fudge brownies. Perfect for a get-together of any calling size. You can go ahead and place an order at the Chick-fil-A app online or by calling ahead. You can pick it up at the Chick-fil-A in Pell City, or you can get it delivered directly to your door. Enjoy more of the game with your friends when you take cooking off your plate. Availability and order requirements may vary. Check with the Chick-fil-A in Pell City for more details. Guys, we discussed a lot about Oklahoma State and Utah in the first part of this show. And I'm not taking my attention away from that game. Obviously, I am fully locked down on that game this weekend. I believe it's a 3 o'clock kickoff. It's going to be fun. Well, at 7 o'clock, we have an even more interesting game. We have Tennessee and Oklahoma. Tennessee and Oklahoma, a massive SEC matchup. Oklahoma's first SEC matchup, their first matchup at home in the SEC. Tennessee's going on the road. This is in Norman, Oklahoma. That's something that we need to look out for. You know how long it's been since Tennessee has won an away SEC game while both teams were ranked? It's been quite a minute, guys. It's been quite a minute. They had the chance a few years ago against Oklahoma, or excuse me, not Oklahoma, but Georgia. Did they do it? No, absolutely not. Denise Seabolt chimes in on the live chat and says, "Go Pokes!" And Alana Yates is going to be at that game. Says it is going to be hot. It is going to be over, I believe, 95 degrees. It's not going to be pretty on Saturday. Maybe even reaching the 100s, triple digits. That would not be fun there. But that is also going to play an effect in that game. It will. So that's going to be an interesting game. I'm very excited for it. We can move on now. I want to shift my focus to a team in the SEC who is not necessarily playing their best football right now. And when I mean they're not necessarily playing their best football, I mean this. The Mississippi State Bulldogs lost to the Toledo Rockets over the past weekend, 41-17. Mississippi State. Jeff Levy is in for a tough year with this Mississippi State team. You've got Florida at home this weekend. Florida's a 6-point favorite in that game. I'm not confident in Mississippi State. Well, guess what? I'm also not confident in Florida. Billy Napier and company there's a good chance they may not be there by the end of the year. I don't want to speak anything into existence, but I'm going to speak it into existence. I don't think they will be there by the end of the year. And it's unfortunate because I really like Billy Napier. I think he's a good coach. Unfortunately, I just don't think he's going to be able to get it done at Florida. I don't think he can do it at this level. He's recruited. He's done well recruiting. It's just I don't think he can put together the material on the field for these fans to be physically pleased. And that's just going to have to be how it is. It's just not going to happen for Billy Napier. And I really hate to say it. Like I said, I like the dude. I think he's good, but not for Florida and not at this level. You had some of the coaching lines come out or the expected possibilities of next head coaches at Florida. And one of those is, well, none other than Jamie Chadwell. Jamie Chadwell, former Liberty, is the coach at Liberty right now. How exactly is that game, how is that going to go? Because Jamie Chadwell, obviously, he's a really good coach. I'm curious to see if he is going to take that job at the end of the year or not, because I think that would be really nice. Luke Secor chimes in and says, "Do you think Mike Norvell is on the hot seat?" Luke, as of now, I don't see him being on the hot seat. I just don't. This is not a great roster that he has to work with. Now, I get it. You had a lot of guys. You lost a lot of guys to the transfer portal, or not even necessarily to the transfer portal, but to the NFL draft. Lost a lot of seniors as well. Some of them entered the transfer portal, but you also had guys transfer in. There's really no excuse as to why this Florida State team should be 0-3 right now. You should have beaten Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech out physically you. Well, guess what? You should have won in week 2. Did you win in week 2? No, you did not. Did you win in week 3 against Memphis? No, you did not. It's absolutely pitiful to see what this Florida State team is putting on the field right now. I don't see it changing anytime soon because I think you're going to lose to California this weekend. I think Fernando Mendoza and company are going to run it up and down the field on you. And I think Fernando Mendoza is just a little bit too quick. He's very quick. And when I say quick, I mean quick as in decision making. He's not a very big athlete, but I think that California will win this weekend. I think that Fernando Mendoza really dices this defense of Florida State. But that's just that. And so no, I don't think Mike Norvell is on the hot seat, but I do think his time could be coming if he doesn't turn it around within the next few years, because what we are seeing now is absolutely pitiful. We've got a bunch of good games this weekend. We've already highlighted a good bit of them. And then Mississippi State, we talked about them, how they are just absolutely not doing well right now. I hate it for them, hate it for the fans out there. But guess what? It's reality, okay? And I'm going to go through the schedule of Mississippi State. So we're going to look at Mississippi State's schedule the rest of the year right quick, and I'm going to tell you just how this is going to fare off because I don't think it's going to go too well for them. We have number 1, Texas. And then you have number 25, Texas A&M. You play at number 6, Tennessee. Then you have number 7, Missouri. You have at number 5, Ole Miss as well at the end of the season. Guys, this is not going to go well for Mississippi State. I don't know if they win 4 games, 5 games. It's not going to be pretty for this Mississippi State Bulldogs team. So I'm very interested to see how they attack the rest of the year and where their focal point lies, because I don't necessarily think that Jeff Lebby and company are going to be able to scratch and claw for 5 wins, 6 wins. I just don't see it happening. So we'll see how that goes. But as for now, I don't see them winning more than 5 games if they get to 5 games. Now, we talked a little bit earlier in the year about the Hayden Coker Show Power 12. Well, to get to the Power 12, we had to do a lot of traveling, and my dog is going absolutely insane right now. We had to do a lot of traveling. And when I mean traveling, I mean running through my mind with some things. Well, let me talk to you about running. Maybe you're not necessarily running. Your thoughts aren't running through your mind as quick as they should. And maybe your car has something to do with that. Maybe it's because your car isn't necessarily the most reliable. You're worried about how you're going to get to work in the morning. Well, let me tell you about a little somebody who can fix those issues for you. J&K Tires and Service in Steele, Alabama. They can work on your tires. They can fix your brakes, alignments, shocks, struts. They can work on your oil changes and minor auto repairs. Kurt and the guys, they all get it going. They are who you need to go see for your next vehicle appointment. Now, you can call them at 256-570-0777. That's 256-570-0777. Now that we have the bills out of the way, now that we've got the bills paid, I want to focus a little bit more on the HCS Media Power 12. We discussed it we discussed the HCS Media Power 12 last week and how that fared off. Now, this week is completely different. We have the number 1 team, a new number 1 team, that is the Texas Longhorns. The Texas Longhorns have taken over the number 1 spot, and number 2 following them is Georgia. And we have Ohio State, Alabama at 4, and Tennessee at 5, and that rounds out the top 5 in the HCS Media Power 12. Then, the number 6 team in the HCS Media Power 12 is the Ole Miss Rebels, or Land Sharks, whatever you want to call them. Missouri, sitting right at number 7. Then we have Miami sitting at number 8. Miami sitting at number 8. USC at number 9. Penn State at number 10. USC at 9 or 10. And Penn State at 11. And Oregon at the 12th spot. That is the HCS Media Power 12 right now. Now, Oregon has a little bit more to prove. Now, that's why they're sitting at the number 12 spot right now in the HCS Media Power 12. They played a really good game this past weekend against Oregon State. They really played good. They played sound. They played together, and that was not what we had seen the first few weeks of the season. I think that Oregon really needed to get put on their butt the first few weeks and really needed to get challenged for them to realize that, hey, you know what, we've got to get it together. This is not going to work out the rest of the year. Now I think they have finally got it going. I have them at the number 12 spot because I think that they could be performing a little bit better overall. But for now, we will be sticking them at number 12. Penn State, same old story. You've been challenged a few times. Now I want to see you improve as the weeks go on. That's why you're at number 11 right there, because I see the potential. Defensively, I think you need to take a step up. Now, I don't need to see Bowling Green throwing for over 200 yards against you. That just shouldn't happen. I shouldn't see Bowling Green in the game late with you. It just should not happen. That's number 11. USC. Okay, USC's played a really good brand of ball this year. I think that they have a really good chance to make the playoffs this year. Miller Moss has been outstanding. Zachariah Branch, again, outstanding. Then you also have a really nice defense as well. Your defense has improved this year. You bring in a new defensive coordinator. It's looking pretty sound so far. Let's see how it goes the rest of the season. We've still got a lot of ball left to play. Miami is next. Then we have Mizzou. We have Mizzou at number 7. Ole Miss at 6. Tennessee at number 5. And 4 is Bama. Number 3 is Ohio State. Number 2 is Georgia. And number 1 is Texas. And that's the HCS Media Power 12. And I hope you enjoyed it, because guess what? It's going to be back next week, better than ever. The same thing happens every week. It's always right. It is never wrong. If something happens wrong, it's because the teams on the field have royally messed up. And that we just don't stand for being wrong around here. So we are never wrong, and we will never vouch for being wrong in this situation unless we make a wild prediction, which may be coming later on in the show. Now, Chick-fil-A's app awareness. I need to tell you about that, because if you are not aware of the Chick-fil-A mobile app at the momento, then you need to go and get that pimento cheese sandwich. Well, let's take a look at the app real quick, because making a decision about what to eat can be hard, especially when you're on the go. But the Chick-fil-A in Pell City helps you save time with easy-to-order options on the Chick-fil-A app. Plus, with every qualifying purchase, you'll receive points towards rewards. The Chick-fil-A food we all enjoy is just a tap away. Download the Chick-fil-A app and order your favorites today. In participating areas of the state of Alabama, open your Chick-fil-A app when Auburn or Alabama scores a touchdown from the red zone at home, and you will receive a free treat from our Chick-fil-A Iron Bowl giveaway. And that's just that, guys. Did you notice the wordplay I tied in there with the honey pepper pimento cheese sandwich and the momento? Well, guys, let me just tell you something. I'm learning a little bit of Spanish, okay? I took Spanish 1. I took Spanish 2. I have officially learned the Spanish language, okay? It may be 5 to 10 words max, but I know the language. And that's just that. And I figured, you know what? Why not tie a little bit of wordplay on there? The new honey pepper pimento cheese chicken sandwich, fantastic. Go down to the Chick-fil-A in Pell City and try it. Alani H says, "Oh, Lord," but she does not know that I can talk some mean Spanish. And I can just rattle it off the dome just like that. But, guys, a few more games that I want to get to before we officially check out of the Hayden Coker Show for the week, okay? We talked about Tennessee and Oklahoma. We talked about Utah and Oklahoma State. Have we talked about Illinois and Nebraska? Illinois and Nebraska is another game that I feel like is going under the radar. Now, this is a ranked matchup, so it like I said, maybe not too many eyes on this game, but I also don't think it's being talked about near enough. I think that Dylan Raiola is playing out of his mind this year, quarterback for Nebraska. He's made some really nice throws. He made some really good throws against Colorado. And, guys, Dante Dowdle's legit, running back from Nebraska. The offensive line is legit. The defense is legit. Matt Rule has this Huskers team moving, and they are on fire, guys, and they are humming right now. I would not expect for this game to be close. Now, I do have a lot of respect for Illinois and Coach Brett Bielema and Luke Altmaier, who are currently at Illinois. Luke Altmaier, former Ole Miss quarterback, transfers to Illinois. He's really been lighting it up over there. But unfortunately for the Fighting Illini, I do not think that they will be able to hang with the Nebraska Cornhuskers this weekend. I think that they are a little bit too much for them offensively, and defensively, I don't think they will be able – well, I say defensively. Offensively for Illinois, I don't think they will be able to move the ball as much as they would like. Now, Luke Altmaier can do all he wants. I'd definitely say their strong suit for this defense would be the front seven of Nebraska. But I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm not saying that Illinois can't move the ball. They can move the ball. I'm just not sure how effectively they will do that. So I'm taking Nebraska, and I'm taking them I'm taking the spread. I think I'm taking the points. I think that Nebraska covers, which and right now is sitting. Last time I had checked, it was at 8.5. I believe it is still there, and now it has moved down to 7.5. But I think that they cover the spread, and I think they continue to dominate and they continue to move up in the rankings over the next few weeks, and that's just how that's going to be. As for Nebraska, or excuse me, as for Illinois, you've got a little bit more work to do. But if you're Brett Bielema and company, I think you've really got a nice squad, and this is just the beginning for this squad as well. The development's there, the coaching is there. Keep it up. You're getting there, and you'll be on the right track soon enough because you really are on the right track now. But anyways, back to Missouri, because we didn't necessarily talk about this team enough in the beginning of the show. I think I mentioned them maybe once or twice. But this past weekend, I almost saw a really good Missouri team lose to Boston College at home. You're down 14-3 to start the game. Well, I say to start the game early on in the second quarter. You're down 14-3. You end up coming back. You end up winning that game 27-21. But you didn't look pretty doing it. And I really thought that Missouri was going to look really nice in this game. I thought they were going to cover the spread. I thought they were going to blow Boston College out. I'm not going to lie to you. Thomas Castellanos has absolutely proved me wrong. Quarterback for Boston College. He's a playmaker, and we should really be paying more attention to him. I know, I get that. But unfortunately, he plays for Boston College, and Boston College is just not a big market team. They just aren't. As much as we can want to think that if you're a Boston College fan, or whether you're a fan of the coach, Bill O'Brien, whatever. I hate to say it, but we should be paying more attention to Thomas Castellanos because the guy's good. He's a really nice playmaker, and he knows he knows how to get the ball up and down the field in a hurry. The guy's very agile. He's very athletic, and he can also throw the ball. So don't be surprised if Boston College is in the hunt for the ACC championship toward the end of the year, because I think they just might be. Florida State, down year. What's happening there? Louisville's pretty good this year. Louisville's pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if they won the ACC this year. Then you also have Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's another one of those teams. And then Pittsburgh. Pitt is a team that I didn't necessarily think would be up there right now. I just didn't. But they have a really nice offense. And if you haven't watched Pitt so far this year, I strongly suggest you turn on a Pitt game. Last week they beat West Virginia. They also covered the spread. As somebody picked, I don't know who I'm talking about, but somebody picked Pitt last weekend. But no, I certainly think that this Pitt team is going to be good throughout the rest of the year. The quarterback, Eli Holstein, former Alabama quarterback, transferred to Pitt. Now he's lighting the world on fire, had over 300 yards passing last week. He's good, guys. He is good. Add in a few touchdowns as well. I think that Eli Holstein might just be the saving grace for Pitt this year. Now, when I say saving grace, No, I'm not talking about a national championship for Pitt. The Pitt Panthers will not be winning a national championship this year. What they will be doing, though, is competing for an ACC championship, like I stated before. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what happens. And I really think that as we progress throughout the season, we will see more and more of these teams who aren't necessarily as highly ranked now. Like, for instance, Pitt. Pitt's not even ranked right now. I think they will be within the following weeks. Okay, I think they get a few key wins. And then you also have teams in the ACC like Syracuse who are up there as well. So I definitely think that it's going to be interesting as we go throughout the rest of the year to see what exactly happens with these teams. Now, what we're hoping, if you're a Pitt fan anyways, you hope that the tires don't fall off. Well, I know a guy who can make sure that doesn't happen. You can contact J&K Tire in Still, Alabama. They can work on your tires. They can replace your tires, brakes, your alignments, shocks, struts. They can do your oil changes, and they can make minor auto repairs as well. These guys know exactly what they're doing, and that's why I have been there, and I have been going there over the past several years. Now, I have been in there a few times, and I go in there, and I end up talking to some people that I know on the couch while they're also waiting for their vehicle to be operated on. I've also done that. Then again, I've also went in there and sat on that couch and put my head up or propped it up on the wall and fallen asleep. I love it. Couches are comfy too, so don't forget that. But guys, you can call J&K Tires and Service at 256-570-0777. That's 256-570-0777. And that is all you need to know about J&K Tire, because they will get you fixed up no matter the circumstance, okay? Now, we talked a little bit about the lines and the spreads. Well, Nebraska, we talked about them. They're a 7.5-point spread. In Oklahoma State, they are a 2.5-point spread. Or Oklahoma State, excuse me. USC is a team that I didn't necessarily expect to be as good as they are this year. Now, I get you played a LSU team that really doesn't look great right now. Going to Columbia last week, I get it. Hostile territory. I'm the one who predicted that game to not be close and LSU would blow them out. Oh, silly me. I don't necessarily think I was thinking. I don't know what was happening. My main thought was I think that the pressure is going to be too big for South Carolina, and they do not have the team to hang with LSU. Well, I was sadly mistaken because they did. But anyways, USC, do they cover the 6-point spread against Michigan? I think that they do. I think it'll be close early. I think that Michigan will keep it close down to the end of the game, probably. Alex Orji is one of those guys who I think can really take over a game late. I'm not saying it with his passing ability, but I think, especially with the offensive line, I think that they can really grind out some yards and really slow down time and really make USC rethink things on where they're at. Because this is still a good Michigan team. It's just not as good of a Michigan team as we have seen in the past, obviously. But yes, Michigan has officially went with Alex Orji as their starting quarterback and has benched Davis Warren. It's a really cool story about Davis Warren. We talked about it a little bit or a few episodes earlier in the year. He beat leukemia back in 2019. Now he's lighting it up with Michigan. I wish that he was doing a little bit better than he was. You hate to see it. He's a good quarterback, but unfortunately, Michigan is just not the team that he's going to lead. But Alex Orji, on the other hand, I think he can really do it. He's just got to have a little coaching, and he's going to have to have a little bit of teaching as well in there. So coaching, teaching, you can call it the same thing if you want to, but trust me, there's a little bit of a difference in there. But yeah, and I think that USC covers a 6-point spread for this game. And then you have not Texas, but Tennessee and Oklahoma. So Tennessee is a 7-point favorite in this game. Nico Iamaleava is a fantastic quarterback. I think he's in the running for the Heisman right now, and I think he can really make some nice plays. Now, what happens this weekend? Because let's be honest with ourselves, Oklahoma has not looked great over these first few weeks. You struggle with Tulane, and you struggle, I believe it was Temple earlier, or no, not Temple, Houston. You struggle with Houston earlier on in the year as well. So you're struggling with 2 Group of 5 teams early on in the year, which is not what any Power 5 or Power 4, goodness gracious, fan or coach or whoever wants to see. It's not ideal, especially if you're Oklahoma. Oklahoma's supposed to be competing with the big guys this year. Obviously, you have a beaten-up O-line, really a brand-new O-line. These guys have not necessarily played with each other before, and it doesn't help that Jackson Arnold, the starting quarterback, is your leading rusher on the team. And why is that, you say? Well, I will go ahead and tell you, the poor offensive line play. You have one of the better running backs in the SEC in Gavin Sawchuk, and the fact that he is not getting as much production, you're not getting as much production out of him as you should, if you're Oklahoma, is a big surprise. I honestly thought that it would be a little bit better. I thought that they would be running the ball like crazy because Gavin Sawchuk is really good. He's really dynamic. He's also a really nice power back, so he can get things done on the offensive side of the ball. But unfortunately, they just have not gotten things going when it comes to running the ball. And that scares me again in this game because I don't necessarily think that they'll be able to do much against this Tennessee defense. They are stifling this year. And this is what everybody's been saying this Josh Heupel-led team has been needing. By the way, this is going to be a really interesting matchup as well because Josh Heupel also played football at Oklahoma, also coached at Oklahoma. Got fired. Guess where he's at now? The University of Tennessee. So I think this game's going to be interesting. I'm going to go with Tennessee for the simple fact that I don't think that Oklahoma will be able to stop Nico Iamaleava and company. They won't. You got Squirrel White on the outside, who I think can really make some nice plays, and then Dylan Sampson, who is one of the best running backs in the SEC right now, one of the better backs in the country. The guy's good. And I seriously think that he's going to give this Oklahoma Sooners defense some nightmares, and that's just that. So I'm going with Tennessee. I'm going with USC. I'm going with Nebraska, and I'm going with Oklahoma State. And, guys, I also want to go ahead and tell you that West Virginia will be beating Kansas this weekend. Not that too many people care about that game. I, fortunately, do care about that game because I just love college football as a whole. Now, As we wind down the show, I want to take a minute to say thank you. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I hope to see everybody back next week. We will be back same exact time at 6 o'clock, barring any high school football changes or any games on Thursday that I'm being sent to. We will see. All right. As for now, we will be back next Thursday at 6 o'clock sharp. I hope you guys have an absolutely phenomenal weekend. Take care. God bless. And please, please, please be safe. Okay? It's college football. I get it. You like to drink. A bunch of people like to drink and hang out with their buddies on the weekends. Be smart about it. Guys, y'all have a great weekend. God bless. And I'll see y'all next time.